typical disgusting display.
Oh, tonight we got 'em. Goldie, the Sulk, and JC.
The typical disgusting display. And it starts right now.
So, welcome back to another episode of A Typical Disgusting Display, a podcast for writers, by writers who hate writing. Folks, you both know already, but I've been having a morning. Goldie, you're smiling already. Smiling already. It's insane.
Oh, because you're
insane.
having a bad time. The
Yeah.
world needs to have a bad time.
No.
The whole thing revolves
Sympathy,
around you.
empathy, sympathy and empathy. Have you heard those words before? Shouted at you, maybe?
Hey,
So,
as,
here,
as,
let me-
as I'm sure maybe your wife would say, I can be both. I can be both an empathetic person and be having a good day.
Yeah, that's not what was happening. I'll tell you what was happening.
Sure.
What was happening is, as we all know now, hallelujah, the writer's strike has ended. Thank you, David Goodman, and all the WGA board members for getting that resolved. So I'm doing this podcast from back in the office today. And now for a week or so, we've been hearing rumblings that the strike was going to end. So I was preparing, talking to my assistant, Allie, talking to Suka, head of office security, making sure my elevator and garage card works and my Disney ID works to open the office. Well, I get in today. Neither of them worked. Neither. So I had to take... Look how happy you are. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So my garage card didn't work. So I had to come in P1, which is like a pay situation. So I have a ticket. And they say, oh, well, you can use the EV chargers there. Don't have access. They say you don't have access to this. So
Let me stop you right here.
Yeah.
The building is surrounded by free parking.
Surrounded. But what with EV chargers? No. Wrong. I need that EV charge to get home today, which is 82 miles from here. So I need that charge. So anyway,
Okay, well,
I'm
you should
frustrated.
Pay then. You should pay.
I
should have
will
free
pay
gas,
for the charger.
'cause I need gas.
I'm happy
No.
to pay for the charger. I
Good.
don't want to pay for the parking. So
Fine.
anyway, I come up here after
Submit
that
it to petty
disaster.
cash.
Oh, you're petty, all right. Submit it to your petty cash. So I get into the building. Elevator card doesn't work. I'm stuck in the elevator. So finally I get down to the lobby. I go, look at you giggling. See, now you cannot deny what is making you happy. So I'm sweating, stuck in the elevator. I get down to the security desk.
JC seems really upset too.
I know,
I
yeah,
am pretty
but
tickled
she's
by it.
allowed. She hasn't been my best friend for 25 years. So
I
anyway.
feel like I just got an upgrade to best friend in
See?
this moment.
Yeah.
I
Well,
got a
you're,
field promotion
you're
due to your anger.
you're tied with 3 other Johns. What can I tell you?
No, as I've always said about you, the guy who's such a mystery to everyone who knows him. Someone will introduce themselves as your best friend. I've never seen them before, and I've known you like over 30 years.
Yep, that happens. I am a mystery. So today was very non-mysterious. So they are nice enough at the security desk to allow me access to the 3rd floor. Get up
Because
to
you're literally the only person in the building.
And
right,
it's like
because I'm
8
coming
in the
here
morning.
for this.
Right. No, I know.
This. So
It's an empty building.
So I get up to the 3rd floor. Then my Disney ID card does not work to open up the suite. I'm angrily texting my assistant. I'm angrily calling Suka, who is head of security here in the office. And I'm texting you two. And I'm saying I'm not going to be let in. And I'm talking with Suka. Instantly, Goldie texts back, oh, Suka, oh, honey, complete with musical notes in the text on either side. So you are just giddy. Absolute. I have not seen you this giddy in a very long time. So in a way, I'm happy that for you that you're having that, but I'm just a little bit upset that what brings out your supreme happiness is my abject misery.
You've had too much therapy. You're reading too much into this.
I have it
So
later
good.
today, and I'm talking about this
Say
again.
we were on that Titanic submersible, and it's like, hey, we're about to explode. Do you want me to start crying, or do you want me to just make a couple jokes before we
Slightly
explode.
different scenario.
It doesn't matter. It
Slightly
doesn't
different
change.
scenario.
Doesn't change your reality.
Yeah.
My reaction. So these things happen to you. So maybe I was just trying to inject a little levity to calm you down, to get you into a podcast frame of mind. You don't know my motivations.
Tell
you
yourself
you don't
whatever you
understand
want.
how I work.
Tell
I'm playing
yourself.
3D chess.
You're playing 2D checkers, and it was written all over your face what you were doing. And so, as I was telling you before, I'm sitting on a cement floor outside of our office for 15 or 20 minutes.
How are you sitting?
No, crisscross applesauce.
Right.
Crisscross
And can I say
applesauce.
something?
Yes.
You're in control of how you sit.
Yeah.
So you could have found a more comfortable position.
That was the most comfortable position. And I was telling you before
No
we
way.
my back was against the wall, literally and figuratively.
Okay.
So I was telling you before I got in here that me trying to get in this office was like Die Hard starring a guy who can do nothing. So that was me. Instead of clawing my way through an air vent, I sat cross-legged on a cement
Listen,
floor and waited
You
for
had 8 bad minutes. You're fine.
more.
9.
23.
10.
Was it
Don't
really?
stop me when I reach the amount of bad minutes.
Higher. Can you take me higher?
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be.
I'm
upset.
sweating in here. I don't
be.
have water, and because we had to start, and the Zoom was not working, and we had to get the tech guy on the phone
Don't
to
have
get
water. I'm not concerned about you. There's a coffee bean in the lobby. You'll be fine.
it. If I can
There's
get up and
water in the
back,
office.
I can't. I might be stranded in Coffee Bean.
What?
I'm just stranded everywhere.
You don't need a. Well, you need a. You don't need a card to get down, do you?
No.
You
But
might.
to get back up.
No, all I need is a good beat to get down.
It's also very
Get
funny
that.
that there's security in a building that no one cares about.
I know. I
Seems
know.
like a post 9/11 overreaction. Like
It's
that,
like-
they're trying to blow up everything. It's
I
like
know.
no one even. There's not enough business in that building to merit
Nothing.
blowing up.
Nothing. It's like
That is
is
Like
Secu-
Al Qaeda looks at that and goes, it just.
Yeah,
it's-
skip it. Skip
Yeah.
it. We'll bomb the IHOP
many-
instead across the
Yeah.
street. Oh my lord, I am schwitzing in here too.
Let
They
me
gotta
just say,
turn.
is there anything I can do?
Oh,
Wait.
you said that so giddily.
There were so many, but I was like,
Yeah.
I know there's gonna
Oh,
be.
and now my wife is FaceTiming. Sorry, can't talk right now.
Well,
Oh.
as so many things are.
The
and-
Kilborn exhale.
And as I've told you before, I wish we had titled the podcast Back to Zero.
Yeah,
Because
that is a
even with
good
the
one.
strike wrapping up, it's like everyone's throwing these celebrations, and it's like, oh, we're just going back to our job.
Yeah, I know.
Back to
I know.
zero.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Yep.
that is
Yep.
such a good
COVID's
title.
over.
Back to zero.
Back
to
to zero. Yep. Time
It's
to
true.
punch up that triplet in Act 2, Goldie.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful
I
world.
know. You know what? One thing about the strike I won't miss is on the line. So there are these people who they stand at the crosswalk and they
Yeah.
tell you can go. And they're so militant about it. Like they're like, I'm gonna need to hold you. And it's like, I'm 50 fucking years old. If I want to cross a street, I think I have enough agency and enough knowledge. And by the way, if I get run over, I accept that. As
Because
part
you're an
of
adult.
being alive, I've crossed tens of thousands of streets in my lifetime with an absolutely meticulous, perfect
Spotless,
record of not getting
spotless.
hit. So the notion that I need some fucking 28-year-old to tell me, like, it's okay for you to go, I do not need you to tell me when to go. Strike fucking field general who thinks that they know how to cross a street better than a fucking guy who could be their granddad. So I will not miss that. And you know, like, what it was is like, it is when my dad fell in the shower and he broke his neck and he went into a nursing home. The first thing they do in the nursing home is they put you in a diaper. Not because you need a diaper, but because they're like, we're not going to be able to get you to the bathroom in time. So you go from a
Jeez.
person who can use the bathroom and does not need a diaper to you're wearing a diaper. And guess what happens after a month? You're shitting and pissing in the diaper. Everyone
Right.
wants to put you in the diaper.
Right.
I ain't wearing the diaper, folks. I will not wear your diaper of telling me when to cross
Crossing guard.
I will not wear your diaper.
Well, the good news is that they gone. Those little Napoleons who tell you when you can cross the street and when you can't. They gone.
I am not doing the next strike. I am going to do a show with Bill Maher and Drew Barrymore. The next strike.
Oh, Mari Moore. That's the name of the show. Welcome to Mari Moore. Yeah, also, I feel...
If one more person tells me I can't cross a fucking 40-foot street with a light that's blinking 9.
Oh, that's a good detail. That's a good detail. I was going to question you bringing it up again, but that was a good detail. I'm also a little sad for all the people who had the strike personality on Instagram. What do they do now?
We were kinda
What do
talking
they
about that.
do now? Oh, I guess they have to
don't
go
know.
back to life.
What is an example of a strike personality?
It's just like an incessant level of posting, sort of
being on the
a
line.
little virtue signaling mixed with a little sort of like B- humor to be like, here's my witty sign that I probably picked up from a pile that somebody else wrote.
Right.
And, it's like, oh, look who I ran into today. This human. I hate when people call other people humans.
Listen, I'm older. I'm Gen X, as are
Yeah, we all.
too. The strike flash mob dance, all that stuff, not my cup
That's
of
a
tea.
thing?
If you're going to strike, there's nothing wrong with just holding a sign and walking.
Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
flash mob
And
dance?
it doesn't
Just doing that.
It doesn't need to be recorded all the time.
You don't need to dress as a Mandalorian and get on one of those one-wheeled skateboards.
Oh, did you see that? That sounds so cool.
Yes, I saw that a lot.
Oh, God.
There were like multiple Mandalorians.
Mandalori. Oh, God. Well, it was all just awful, and we're glad it's over. We're
Yeah.
happy to be getting back to work. And again,
No, we're not.
Dave, well, we're back to zero thanks to
Yes.
David Goodman.
Well,
We
you're
can't
about to
appreciate-
die in the office,
I
apparently.
know. I'm schwitzing
With
here.
We're
no
going to show
water.
up for work, and there's going to be a skeleton wearing a Patriots t-shirt.
And holding an empty cup
Shattering
of water.
skeleton. Well, speaking of dying, let's get in to Johnny jokes.
From Hollywood, we're back and open for business and better than ever. Here's Johnny's.
Oh, yeah, yes, we're back in action here. Maybe you heard this story. This is wild. Minnesota Twins manager Rocco Baldelli has fathered a set of twins. Huh, weird. Meanwhile, the manager of the Yankees drifted off to sleep next to some crumpled up tissues. The Yankees. He's yanking
That's good.
his Johnson.
That's very good.
Thank you. In a shocking new study, Harvard ranked worst among universities in free speech. Unless, of course, that free speech involves letting people know that you went to Harvard. They love to do that. Visitors to the Royal Academy of Arts in London will have to squeeze in between two nude models. Here's hoping the event will not be covered by the BBC. That's code these days, BBC.
Yeah. The manager of the Yankees knows a thing or two about that.
Yeah, he sure does. Plans are in the works for a movie about 80s boy band Menudo. The film will carry an R rating for violence, language, and brief nudity. Take it away, Johnny, too.
All right. Well, yesterday, President Biden congratulated the Writers Guild for settling the strike in time to save the fall schedule. Not the networks, Biden's.
Oh, there's so much milk in that cow. I love it.
Well, Taylor Swift caused quite a stir when she attended the Chiefs-Bears game as Travis Kelce's date. According to witnesses, Taylor sat high in the luxury box, ate chicken wings, drank vodka cranberries, and caught 6 passes from Justin Fields.
The Bears are not good.
You got to know a thing or two about football, but he's been terrible. The governor of New York has announced that New York City can't accept any more immigrants. And the plaque on the Statue of Liberty has been changed to bring me maybe 2 Chinese billionaires, a rich Saudi, and a Swedish tech CEO, but that's it until 20,000 Italians move or die.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, this is a fun story. The other day, Kelly Clarkson stopped to sing with a homeless street performer who had no idea that it was her.
Oh, wow.
You know, and it's been almost 20 years, but still sad Justin Guarini didn't remember her.
Good
And-
memory.
And finally, Norm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Norm. According to a new study, the blue light from phones is speeding up puberty. Huh. No wonder I'm seeing so many babies with tits.
I was
I feel
surprised.
like I could have enunciated that. Babies with tits.
There you go. Get the tits out there. I was surprised you didn't go with Sanjaya.
Sanjaya. That was a different year.
Yeah, that's true.
That was way
Oh,
ahead.
that's right. They were the same year, Guarini and Clarkson. I forgot.
They
about
made a
Yes.
movie from Justin to Kelly.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
wow.
right. I actually saw
Love
that
that you know
movie,
that.
which is
As
crazy.
did I.
Wow.
I
All right.
voted for Bo Bice. That's how long the show's been
Wow.
around.
Is he the
I'm not
super
kidding.
low
Bobice.
voice?
Bo
Bobice.
Bice, do you remember his
He's-
song?
Oh, wow.
For Love of Money.
No,
He
well, but do
killed
you
it.
remember the song that I remember him singing on that was Vehicle? I'm your vehicle, baby. He had a good throaty voice.
He
Very
was
niche.
amazing.
Yeah, Bobice.
He's
Super
my
low.
favorite musician.
Ever of all time.
Mhm.
Speaking of musicians,
Yes. Next week, we're very excited for our guest. We have Blake Robin. He's also
Ooh.
known as Luxury. There's 2 X's in there.
Yes.
He is the co-host of SiriusXM's One Song with Diallo Riddle. It is
Nice.
a great show. He is a music encyclopedia.
yeah.
He is a very talented DJ and musician, raconteur, and he really came to play. It was like a music appreciation class that you wish you had.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's next week, Blake Robin. But we're excited about today. Oh, gosh, guys, friends, we have
We
Oh,
got
right.
him.
We got oh, he's in. He's in. We have a talented writer today, but more importantly, a friend, a
Yes.
coworker and a friend, someone who we've been working closely with for almost 10 years. You young hip kids out there might remember him as the host of MTV's TRL
Woot woot.
for 7 or 8 years. You closed the show down. No comment on you. But now he's a writer on Family Guy, incredibly funny guy. Folks, please welcome Damien Fahey to the podcast. Damien, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
you.
you
I'm
for
excited.
being here.
I'm excited to be here. I've listened to, every episode of this.
Oh,
of this thing.
that
Whoa,
sounded
whoa.
not credible. You were gonna.
Well, there were a couple I skipped, if I'm going to be honest. You
Yeah,
know, I just didn't recognize the names. You
Oh.
know, and so no. But I've listened to so many of these episodes while I like hike my dog. You know, especially like during the strike and stuff. So
Oh, cool.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. So
Yeah,
while you're
thank you.
picking up dog shit, you're
Yes.
listening
I think
to
most
us.
people
I
do.
find the perfect accoutrement to picking up animal feces is this podcast.
A great French word. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Damien, I mentioned this before we started, and we've been working together for quite a while. And I had no idea that you, like Goldie and me, are from Massachusetts.
Way to stay in touch with your employees.
I know. Well, Damien just looks like a guy who was grown in a California lab for handsome people. Like, I just didn't, like, most people in Western Massachusetts do not look like Damien looks. Let's get that out there.
Is that true?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess that's. I don't know. I guess it's kind of kind of
Where-
true.
where
Although then I
in
went
this-
to Ireland and everyone looked like me in Ireland. So that was a little weird. I was all going in all confident, and oh wait, every guy looks like they were, in the boy band Take That or something.
Is that a real boy band?
Yeah, I think that was the one Robbie Williams was in
Oh,
did-
wow.
no.
in the 2000s. I think so.
Were they on TRL?
They were before me,
Oh,
before my
Oh.
time.
BB.
Yeah, I would play them on Kiss 108 FM though
I love that. I read that about you too. So
Wow.
in Boston.
you
Yes, take that.
worked at Kiss 108 in Boston, which was a huge part. Now, here's a question that only a few people in the know will even care about. Did you meet Sonny Joe White?
No, sadly, Sonny Joe had passed at that time.
Oh, he's dead?
Oh yeah. He died.
Maddie in
wanna
the morning
say-
killed him.
Yes, that is true. Matty Moore killed a lot of people, but no, love Matty in the morning. I actually miss him being on the radio. I used to listen to him all the time out here.
Yeah.
We're getting in the weeds here, but
I love the weeds.
I love the weeds. But yes, Dale Dorman was my mentor who took me under his wing, Uncle Dale at Kiss 108. And I did part-time there while I was in college at Northeastern.
Give me
How did it
like
smell under that wing?
Yeah, he doesn't look like the cleanest guy, Dave.
Bourbon.
Okay, all right, that's
Yeah.
acceptable.
Bourbon and aftershave.
An acceptable musk. So give
Yeah.
me a year window. Like when you were working at Kiss 108 was what years?
99 to 2002.
Ugh, what a gross period in music. So like
Yeah.
what were you playing? Was it all
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. That was like the first
Hey,
song
he
I
just
heard.
died.
he just
He just died.
He did. Well, rest
What
in
about-
peace.
What about
Um,
it? It's just like the ocean under the moon.
oh
It's
my
the same
God.
state of motion that I actually love that song.
What about
That's a
this?
great
I
song.
practice at the rear. I ain't got no crystal ball.
That's another one.
Hey, that's
Yes.
That's
Well,
sublime. That's all.
that's a little earlier, and then there was
my God.
the finger bus is coming. North
That was a-
Carolina, and then on to
Ouch.
Boston, and then down to Florida. One of those, screaming city names.
That became
songs.
the
God.
dancing Six Flags guy song,
Oh
right?
God, yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah,
That's what that is.
yeah.
Oh, but
I had heard way back in the day that the dancing Six Flags old man was actually a woman in prosthetics, and I get into a lot of arguments with people about that. They feel very passionate about that Six Flags old dancing man.
It was someone in prosthetics, right?
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
an old man.
right,
Right. Yeah, no,
Right.
it looked like, Frank Perdue or Lou Holtz or something.
For me.
Or you.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you said it. It was the elephant in the room. All right. So give me a little bit of listen, growing up in Massachusetts is its own thing.
Oh,
but
yeah.
growing up in Western Massachusetts is
Yeah.
an even different kind of thing. So when you were growing up, did you feel like you were kind of stuck in this place you wanted to get out of, or did you have like a happy, normal childhood? What was it like for you growing up there?
I grew up in the first city was called Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Toll booth.
Yeah,
Toll booth on the pike.
that's right. That's it. And I had a great childhood. Both my parents art teachers, and so
Nice.
we didn't have a lot of money. So it was sort of like my dad would bring home, art supplies and whatnot, and I would just kind of make things in the backyard, and then just kind of a very I guess they call it free range now.
Yeah.
Riding my bike around with my buddies and all that stuff. And it was just great. So I have really fond memories of that time period. And then we moved to Longmeadow, Massachusetts, which is a more white collar town. And I discovered what lacrosse was and what football was and all that. I was like,
Right.
oh, sports. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went from sort of being like this creative kid to like, oh shit, I want to fit in. I better
Learn sports.
I better do something. Well, I'm tall. I'll play basketball,
Oh,
I
that's
guess.
right.
And so I tried,
Right.
was on a few teams there. So I would say my experience growing up, my first part until I turned 12 was great. I don't have too many, bad memories of that.
Right.
But once I sort of moved to Longmeadow, that's when I felt like, ooh, I don't entirely fit in here.
Right.
and I have to do something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you was atsy fatsy. And
Yeah, it was
they
kind of
don't.
artsy-fartsy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now, forgive me for not knowing this, but do people in Western Massachusetts have Boston accents?
I was just
No,
no?
literally
I
gonna
get
ask
that all
that.
the time. They say you're from Massachusetts. Why don't you have the accent? I'm like, it doesn't extend beyond a
It
certain.
doesn't even seem like there is an accent, or maybe that's
Yeah,
just
it's
you.
like closer to like a New York thing
Yeah.
out there where it's just kind of flat and nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. But not that you are flat and nothing, because you have that great DJ voice.
That's
You
right.
proved that over and
No.
over again.
10 past 7, by the way. Another 9 in a row coming up here on the
check.
buzzer.
I love it. I love that you have them at the ready.
That was one of my favorite moments. I think one of the first times I met Alec was, well, I think it was at the Brass Monkey, but you were doing a ramp. You and Viner were doing ramps over songs. Where you were talking up DJ ramps, and I'm like, I gotta get up there.
Yes. Oh,
And then I did one at Bar Lubitsch. I forget who was hosting, but I want to say Viner did one, and then he was like, someone from the crowd come up, and he's like, "What song do you want?" And I'm like, "Two Princes Spin Doctors." You know, like I knew immediately.
You knew the
'Cause
time.
because it's got that great drum fill that you can kind of.
Well,
So, yeah.
what that came from, I mean, obviously DJs do that so well, and it's very satisfying when you hear a perfectly timed ramp. It's awesome. And of course, as you know, since our buddy Craig Kilborn is obsessed
Yes.
with ramps, and he used to have us come on as a segment on the show. He would just pick a song and we would have to ramp it, and it would always
Improv?
you'd always kickstart yourself by 72 and sunny. That was always a good way to get started.
great.
And then I would always go into something about a car wash for spinal bifida at the local high school, and then it goes right into the song.
Yeah, that's good.
So those were fun times. But we have been working with you for many years now, and you're a very funny guy and a very funny writer. And I'm wondering, when you were growing up, did you have any sense of that? I mean, were there things that made you laugh a lot? And did you ever think about coming out to Hollywood and doing what you're doing now? Because you took such an interesting route to get here.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I definitely never ever thought about Hollywood growing up. I don't even know if I even knew what Hollywood was. But I do remember being obsessed with comedy movies. And I remember the real obsession, I think, started when my mom let me watch George Carlin's HBO special.
Yeah.
And It's Bad for You,
Ready?
I think it is the one, or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, he came out on stage and his first joke was, "Why is it that everyone who's against abortion is someone you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place?" Like, that's like his first joke. And I was like, I can watch this? And so I remember watching that, and I was trying to memorize the jokes because he was just so funny. And then I remember like trying to do the jokes at school the next day, like as if they were mine,
Oh,
like to
boy.
like, like, hey, you hear about this abortion thing? Like, you guys know about this abortion thing here?
Just like an 11-year-old at school rattling off abortion
just
jokes.
totally stealing jokes. That was sort of a big comedy moment for me. And then I just remember also taping SNL. Dana Carvey, the SNL was a big one that I watched over and over and over. The Michael Jordan SNL I watched over and over and over and over.
So
there were a lot
great.
of SNLs on VHS that I would just watch.
We have that in common,
awesome.
but because I'm a few years older than you are, my tapes were Betamax.
Oh,
So
Wow.
slightly larger.
Yes, and I was actually, they're smaller, but I was recording the SNLs back when it was Martin Short, Billy Crystal, so that was like 84.
Yeah.
But never stopped. And the Dana Carvey stuff and we've talked about him on the podcast before. He's like the Paul McCartney of comedy. Like, he's such a comedy generator. Like, he is always a nuclear reactor on 110% out there. It's awesome. He was a real inspiration, I think.
Yeah, him. And I like there was a trend in comedy, I think around 2010, which was like the indie white guy, white girl UCB hoodie trend of like, I'm apathetic.
Yep.
They don't even want to be up there.
Yeah.
And then also in music too, like lead singers just kind of like going up there, whatever. And man, I got sick of that really quickly.
Yeah.
I like people like Martin Short.
Yes.
I like people who are into it and who you can feel and draw you into, hey, let's have some fun. This is all such a, I mean, don't go on stage if you don't want to.
I know.
You know, unless you're Stephen Wright or something, but it's like, who the hell is Stephen Wright? You know, there's only one.
How long can you be interested in Stephen Wright, though? Like if you go to a Stephen Wright show, are you, 9 minutes in kind of going, so he's just going to stand up there? Like, I would rather have a transcript and appreciate it at my own pace and watch him do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think at a Stephen Wright show, you're right. 9 minutes in, the glasses are on the tip of the nose, and the playbill is on your chest as you're nodding off.
Yeah,
but
you're getting an elbow nudge by the person next to you to wake up.
It's the George Thorogood concert after he's played Bad to the Bone.
Oh my goodness! I totally agree with you. It's like, don't get up to bat if you're not going to swing.
Yeah,
Dana Carvey, like, don't take a walk every time you get up there. Dana Carvey is swinging at pitches way out of the strike zone and in the strike zone. He's just up there to have fun. So that we definitely have that in common. We loved him. But
also, one more thing I just want to say, in terms of like comedy inspiration and everything, late night was another big inspiration for me, especially Conan. I think, growing up in that time, Howard Stern was another sort of, he had that late night show on E. And then I was part-time on the radio in high school, and I would listen to local DJs who I found to be funny. And I would write down the jokes that they were saying, and then I would try to sort of reformulate them to steal.
But when you were saying on the radio, you mean like the actual radio? You weren't in. It wasn't just some high school station, right?
No, I was on an actual commercial radio station. I had
in high school.
I built a radio
station.
Over
a little bit to like most high school students are not on actual commercial
Right.
radio.
No, that is true. No, I was 15 hosting New England Love Songs, a call-in and dedication show.
And no one thought it strange that a 15-year-old was hosting this?
Not in the early 90s in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Awesome.
It was totally, it was also radio. Like,
Right.
There was like no, like,
But how did you get in?
Radio. People were doing drugs in the building, like during business hours.
But you can't just show up and say, I want to be on the radio.
I
you gave
literally,
them a tape or what?
Well, I opened up the phone book one day. I built a radio station in my bedroom, and I'd done that for a few years with friends and done fake shows. And then I said that I need the real thing. So I opened up the yellow pages it was a long time ago, and called 3 radio stations and said, I want to tour your radio station. I said, at the end of the tour, I'm going to ask for an internship at all of them, and one of them will give me one. I bet.
Right.
And I'll force my way in somehow. And so I toured 2 stations, and both said, no, you need to be getting credits in, you're 15 years old. We can't have a 15-year-old intern. And so the final station, I just kind of WMAS in Western Massachusetts. I kind of begged. I said, look, I'll do anything. Just let me in this building. I need to, I'll get coffee. I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she goes, all right, well, it was a Friday. She goes, and it was a summer. She goes, you want to come in on Monday and shadow our midday guy, Dick
Stevens.
Shadow Stevens. And so I went in, and that was it. And then I started shadowing the midday guy 10 to 3 at this small station in Springfield. And I didn't have my license. And so what would happen is during the summer, I would go in Tuesday nights and Thursday nights to the off-air studio, and I'd have my dad drop me off around like 6, and then he'd pick me up around 10 or 11, and I would just go in there and work on my demo tape for, I think it was about 6 months before I found enough breaks to string together, and I slipped the tape under the program director's door.
Wow.
the program director who also had a stack of Playboys on his desk.
Yeah, baby.
Like, yeah,
He's
radio,
cool.
baby.
He's cool.
Oh, you like big boobs? Cool, man. Yeah.
So do I, man.
This guy's
In his
great.
defense, it was an era where like you would walk into the barber shop and that stuff would be out.
That's true.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
It
Yeah,
was
it's
like more a part of life that, I mean, instead now it's like we act like, oh, that's so crazy. It's like everyone's just jacking off to their phone. But
Yeah, we've gone the other way.
That crazy in a way.
We've gone the
That's
other
true.
way. We're both now. It's about pretending you're not horny at all.
Right.
Yes.
And back
That's
then, it
true.
was like screaming that you're horny. At work, on a plane.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I have
love.
sat next to people reading a porno on the plane, like
Oh God, that's so gross.
awful.
in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, the 90s. So I'm incredibly impressed by that, by the way. That at 15, I'm just thinking of myself at 15, and what you were doing at 15 to make this happen
I
for
know.
yourself is very impressive.
Yeah.
Like, do you get that work ethic from your parents, or did you just decide like, I know what I want to do, and
Yeah.
I will do anything to get it?
Yeah, I mean, my parents are very hard workers for sure. But I think well, I've just noticed in my life, I tend to get obsessed with things, and
Yeah.
I just go as far as I can with the thing, as far as the sort of the obsession will take me. And that and
Yeah.
it started with radio, really. And so watching a radio simulcast on television one day, and it just hit me. I'm like, I have to, that's it. I want to do that. I want to be in that room with that equipment, do that. And it was just like,
And
I'm going to find a way to do it.
when you were 15, had your voice dropped yet, or did you still?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's funny, like, cause I saw the simulcast like around 13 or 14.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
my voice was like very high.
Yeah.
And I remember this kid, Aaron, in school would like, I remember he made fun of me and he was like, "You sound like a chick, man."
Oh,
And I just
no.
remember that like stuck with me.
Of
And
course.
so I would go home and I would do like vocal
Start
exercises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drinking whiskey and like.
I
You
would
do
go, yeah, go
do
ahead.
vocal exercises like to make your voice lower?
Yeah, I would like hum songs like in a really low register, and I'm like, because
Yeah.
I that was really, he embarrassed me in front of like the entire
Yeah, that's so rude.
class, and yeah, so I go to school and like not talk, and
Yeah.
What's
Aw.
he doing now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
that man is Dan Harmon. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what else have you been obsessed with besides the radio?
I know. Petty and pizza.
Petty,
And
pizza,
and Dave Matthews.
music, yeah, Dave Matthews Band,
Drums.
music, drumming,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna get into some of those. 'cause
coffee.
Some
Yeah.
of those I find fantastic, and others see Dave Matthews Band. We can talk about. But I something caught my ear when you said you were doing this radio show called New England Love Songs.
Yes.
So do you
Yeah.
remember like any of the kind of stuff you were playing for that?
Yeah.
Like what kind of songs did we have there?
Said I Loved You But I Lied by Michael Bolton.
Oh,
Wind
Amazing.
Beneath My Wings, Bette Midler. I'm
Sure.
15, by the way, playing all these.
Yeah.
Celine Dion, The Power of Love. Breathe, Hands to Heaven.
Ooh.
That's
God.
a deep cut.
Yeah. I don't
Wow.
know.
So this is all just terrible.
Well,
Terribly
yes,
good,
but
terribly
I
good.
I started going in hating it, and then I somehow it like hypnotized me, and I ended up liking a lot of
Yeah.
those songs. Not
If
Michael
you
Bolton.
hear any song enough, you will like it, is my theory.
Yeah, familiarity is always a good thing. Like if you can
Yeah.
start singing along, it's suddenly like,
I
"Hey,
don't know.
I like
It
this."
hasn't happened with Kokomo yet for me.
You're crazy.
Oh, come on. Huge track.
Huge. Oh yeah, that's another thing you're part of at Family Guy, which I think is so funny. You and Travis, I seem to remember, came up with this sort of wrinkle in Joe's personality, where Joe, like, if you mention a big brand around Joe, like like Nabisco or John,
huge brand.
yeah, or John Deere.
Oh, major brand.
Yeah, I love this detail about Joe Swanson, and you guys came in from a gag room with this bit, and I was laughing
awesome.
for like a week about it. So Thank you for you and Travis for adding that wrinkle to a character that had existed for over 20 years. I thought that was
Also,
awesome.
the hey guys.
Oh yeah. Corey's
Yeah.
World.
Corey.
Yeah.
Corey's World. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
guys.
do you remember the first time you did that? So for people listening, if you're familiar with Family Guy, you know what this is. But if you're not, this character you play is sort of like a YouTuber who's got a lot of young energy, and it's someone Stewie, and the kids usually end up watching on YouTube if they need advice about like how to do something. Do you remember how that character came to be?
Yeah, we were in a room, and I had been watching these like how-to videos, like some tech guy, I forget his name, but he would start every video, and it just it's so annoying. I'm like, does he know he's doing this? But he'd start every video with hey guys, so check it out. The new iPhone 4S is and then it's like they go, hey, we go, hey, what's going on, guys? And it's like, oh my god, stop doing that. What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? Hey, what's going on, guys? So the lightning charger is different on this, and it's like, oh my god. And so I forget what it was, but I think someone might have pitched, I want to say it was Cherry, said something about got it started with like a YouTube celebrity or something. He mentioned it, and then I kind of just launched into like a character of Corey.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? Hey, what's going on, guys? And then we built off of that, and then one room came up with I think Ali, it might have been you, but it was like adding little layers to Corey's like home life. Like his stepdad who works on an oil rig and like, abusing him.
That wasn't me, but that's very funny. Yeah, I love that.
And then
so
that Corey may be corresponding with ISIS or plant in the U.S. In a sleeper cell for ISIS.
It's so funny. That's like a character I'd say we've used him probably at least a dozen times now. I mean, he's been on the show a lot, so he's part of the world. I see a future for you at FamCon. FamCon in Narragansett, Rhode Island. Damien Fahey, aka Corey, will be there.
That's funny.
It's really funny to listen to that stuff. Okay, so you've got the New England love songs. How do you make the huge jump from that to now the big time? You end up at Kiss 108 in Boston, which if you grew up in Boston, Kiss 108 was just one of the absolute pillars of the radio community.
You can't go any further right on your dial.
You cannot.
True.
Yeah. So how did you end up at Kiss 108?
So I was on WMAS for many years, and I had been recording myself. I would this machine that every time you turn the microphone on, it records you onto a cassette, and I'd be sending these tapes to a guy in New York named Dave Stewart who worked at WPLJ, and he would give me feedback and everything. And so I with him I sort of made a best of tape of all my radio breaks. I had applied to 7 colleges.
Sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
What is a good radio break? Like, what is on this tape that denotes like this is where I really nailed it from like this is where I just promoted a car show.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's talking. Hitting the post is important, and maybe a little bit of humor. A couple jokes here and there. Interaction with like a caller is good.
What's hitting the post? What does that mean?
Sorry. Hitting the post is being like coming up next on Kiss 108, and the vocal starts that they call it hitting the post.
Got
it. You were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, basically just
because I just am picturing someone trying to judge this versus other people doing it, and it's kind of like I don't know. It all feels very lateral to me.
Yeah. Well, I think it is now. Like radio's, it's much different now. But
I mean, they don't let you have any personality.
You don't. Yeah, they don't let you have any personality. And back then, it was like you had characters. You had like Wolfman Jack and like
Right.
those
Dr.
kind of, like-
Demento.
Did
Yeah,
you
like-
experiment with a character or characters?
No, I did not.
Like you were
Although-
never like gonna be Wolf, like Wolf Boy D, or
Well,
like, you never were like, that's
no.
spooky. I don't
Wolf
know.
Boy D. The drunken Irish lad, Damien.
Hey guys.
What do I got? Yeah.
And you never did a Phil Hendry thing where you're like, I'm on with Long Meadow Larry. Larry, you're on.
Oh man, Phil Hendry is Phil Hendry's the greatest thing to happen to radio ever. By the way,
Yeah,
if you don't
he
know
was-
Phil Hendry. It's
He's a god.
a god, and
Yeah.
like a comedy god too.
I had to I had to fire him once.
Oh no.
Oh, you did?
And I love him.
Oh God.
From
Brought him in
what?
to do a part on a show I was on, and he just, as genius as he is on the radio, when you put him on a stage as an actor, at least at that point, it just wasn't as good. And I had to be like, I think we need to send Phil. It was like if someone ordered you to kill like a sick animal or something, and you're like, don't make me do it. I was
Right.
Oh,
Please fire Mr. Henry.
God.
I'm gonna go hide in my office.
That's
Be sad.
Lauren.
That's rough.
Poor Phil.
Yeah, that's
so
rough.
so you made these tapes. You're sending them into PLJ in New York. You
Yes.
have a little guidance there, and
Sure.
and so
then
how
I
does that
applied
get you
to-
into Boston?
Sorry, I'll make this quick because
No,
but
it's okay.
I applied to 7 colleges. I didn't want to go to college. My parents are like, you have to go to college. I'm like, but I
Right.
just want to work at WMAS and make $40,000 a year and be happy the rest of my life.
that
$40,000, you guys.
was
Um,
huge back then.
It was
That's
huge. And they,
huge.
and so my parents were like, you got to go to college. You got to go. So they basically did everything. They were like, they submitted all my stuff to colleges. And I got rejected from all 6. And then the last college, I got something in the mail from Northeastern.
Yes.
And they said, we have this new program where it's people who like don't have good grades and didn't really try very hard in school, but they have something going on, we think.
Yeah,
Right.
isn't that
And-
all of Northeastern?
Yeah, basically. yeah. So I got in there and I said, well, if I'm going to Northeastern in Boston, I might as well find the biggest station in Boston and send a demo tape to them.
Yeah.
And that's how I got in. I got a call a couple weeks later
Amazing.
from the program director there, John Ivey. And he called my house and my mom picked up. And by the way, he's from Arkansas. And so he always tells a story about like how he called my house expecting my voice was like this,
Yeah.
and he expected to like a 30-year-old guy to pick up.
Right.
It was my mom, and he thought it was my wife. So she goes, Damien, phone for you, and so anyway, so he said, come on down to the radio station. Your tape sounds great. I'd love to give you a tour of the station. And so went down to the station, got a
And
tour.
you didn't say, I know what a radio station looks
Yeah,
like.
I was gonna say, what does a tour show you?
I don't know. I
Here's
think
the booth.
I think it was to make sure, because a lot of guys in radio are weird
Yeah.
and
Yes.
crazy, and so I think it was just to kind of suss me out and make sure
Yeah.
that I was an okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so anyway, so I went down, saw the station, and he offered me a part-time job, and so I started in Springfield midnight to 6 a.m. on the radio. Worked my way up to filling in for the afternoon guy. And then that was sort of the trajectory at Kiss 108. Start overnight, midnight to 6 a.m. playing music, and then worked my way up through the day shifts filling in. And then MTV happened after that.
Wow.
Wow. So wait, so is this era at Kiss FM? Is this the I could stay away
Yeah.
just to hear you
Yeah.
breathe?
Oh my God.
Totally.
I love that he just mentioned then MTV happened and you have
You go
more
back to-
questions about Kiss 108
Yes, I'm
than about
fascinated.
MTV.
Like
Well,
Kiss 108.
I
Yeah.
definitely.
we're getting MTV.
Oh, yeah.
MTV's the
And
the
Damien,
giant.
I
Yes.
probably heard you on the radio because I lived in Boston from 98 to 2000 and listened to Kiss 108. So
Oh wow,
I probably heard you, which is such a weird,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that
small
is
world.
weird.
Did
Yeah.
that give you any kind of fame on campus or anything where people like, I know
Yeah.
you from Kiss?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
Oh, that's
totally.
cool.
Definitely. I mean, and also, I would kind of get made fun of sometimes too. Whatever, it's fine. But I would on Fridays, because I'd have to work Saturday morning, midnight to 6 a.m. So on Friday nights, Friday like evening, I would sleep from like 6 to 10, and then I would walk past dorm room parties, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to your little radio, like you don't want to like do drugs with us in the dorm. You want to do little radio, go play your little songs." And then I'd walk to Ruggles. I think it was Ruggles, right? Is that where
We had a Ruggles
Yeah.
dorm at Columbia.
you did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where I met Beto
odd.
O'Rourke,
Oh, wow.
But his name was what, like Barry or something?
Texas Rob.
Rob.
Texas
Yeah.
Rob.
That's amazing.
I think he gone,
Yeah, I think
unfortunately.
Yeah.
He had a good run.
Um,
But so that's awesome. So you're ruling the night, and then you kind of, as you were saying, get moved up to like a more plum spot in the rotation there.
Did you ever get recruited by AAF or
No.
ZLX or
BCN.
anything? Try to poach you.
BCN. No, I wasn't hard enough. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Wasn't
you're Kiss,
edgy enough.
Yeah, you're Kiss 108. So it's
I'm Kiss
logic.
108.
By the way, for people who haven't lived in Boston, Kiss 108 feeding you into MTV is kind of a perfect match.
Yeah.
So, like, was that how it happened? Were you working at Kiss 108? Because I read that. Did you leave school early for MTV?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Northeastern's a 5-year school. I did 2.5 years. So I got halfway before MTV happened, and I had auditioned for. Do you guys remember the movie Loft on?
Dana
UPN?
Hersey.
Yeah,
Dana
yeah,
Hersey,
yeah.
of course.
So Dana
Tonight
left.
the movie Loft.
Tonight of the movie Loft, and so he left, and then one of the DJs from Kiss 108, actually Skip Kelly, took over, and then Skip left got a job in LA, and so there was an opening, and he recommended me to audition, and so I'm like, I don't really want to do
For the movie Loft?
yeah, to host it.
Wow.
And I was like, and by the way, the movie
Hey guys.
Yeah, exactly. The movie Loft is like it looks like Craig Kilborn's den. It's like it's like
Right.
you don't want a 21-year-old kid
Right.
hosting.
Yeah.
Tiring, basically.
But I went in and I auditioned, kind of just to I got suggested by my friend, so I said I might as well just do it, and
At least
whatever.
audition, yeah.
So I went in and I walked onto the set, and as I walked onto the set, I tripped over a rug, and fell, and then continued and botched the whole audition. And the guy who took my mic off afterwards, the old gristled audio guy, goes, "Well, that didn't go too well, did it?"
That was the highlight of his year.
The most Boston thing
Totally.
to happen.
And you're mad at me for enjoying your struggles in the office this morning.
You
and
missed
yet you
it,
enjoyed
Damien.
that story.
You missed this.
What
You
was
missed this, Damien. I had a lot of trouble getting into the office today, and nothing made Goldie happier than hearing all about it.
Well, I'll just say, that didn't go well, did it? I'll
See?
borrow a great line.
There you go. See, that I would have responded to. A little more direct than the musical notes via text. All right, so the movie Loft thing doesn't happen, but how does the MTV thing happen?
A promotions director at the station knew someone who knew the casting director of MTV.
Yeah.
And the way it was pitched to me in the hallway was my
hallway.
friend is talking with the casting director of MTV, and they've been trying for months to find a new VJ for the channel, a rock VJ, I was told.
Yeah.
And they've been everywhere. They've been to LA radio stations, they've been all over, casting calls, the whole thing, and they can't find the right person.
Right.
Wow.
They can't find someone handsome enough, basically.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Handsome enough and a pushover. Who will who will read Starburst ads for free when they should be getting paid. That did happen. Okay,
I can tell.
Yeah, it's still there.
A burst of refreshing fruit flavor for you. Tastes like mouth-watering orange.
Yeah. Well, let's do one more of those.
While you're there.
So she said, I just think you'd be. I'm like, well, I'm fresh off the heels of a terrible television audition. I've never been more embarrassed. I go, I just want to be on the radio. I don't want to be on television. I don't care about it. And I'm not good at it. I had it in my head that I just, from that, I'm not good. That's not my thing. I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
And so she came up to me the next day and she's like, look, please just do this. Like, this will be really. And so she kind of kept pushing me. And I said, all right, fine. I'll audition. When is it? And so she said, they're coming to the radio station, next week. And they're going to be in the basement, with a camera. And it's going to be sort of like a bunch of DJs upstairs on the couch on like a casting kind of a situation. We're all waiting. And you have to, the instructions were prepare 2 written video intros. And then we're going to throw at you in improvised, on the cuff, kind of off the cuff kind of a thing.
Right.
So you go home and you practice stepping over a rug.
Right. And so I the day of the audition, like I wasn't even thinking about this thing, and other DJs were like really wanted to be on television, they want, and I just wanted
put
to
on
be...
your best painter's jeans.
Right.
Super 90s.
And I remember the day of the audition was at like 1 p.m. or something, and I had class that morning, and I went into class at Northeastern. I remember sitting in the back row, and I thought to myself, okay, I'll just write the video intros now. Who are 2 rock bands of the time? Well, POD and Creed. All right, there we go. We'll write 2 video intros for POD and Creed.
God.
Gross.
And I feel like Goldie wants to make a joke. I can see it coming through
I
him.
want to hear these intros.
Creed.
And I'm wondering, like, were you even familiar with the show at that point? I mean, had you watched it? Did you care about it at all? Or
About TRL. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it was for TRL. I honestly just thought it was.
Okay.
It wasn't billed as the host of TRL. It was sort of like just a rock VJ.
Right.
So like
a Matt Pinfield.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are these intros?
So I don't even remember what I wrote, but it was I just remember lying a lot on the intros saying, oh, Creed, I just went to their show and they, this is a great video. This video is all about, the redemption of Scott Stapp. And I don't know, whatever.
But you took it seriously. You didn't treat it like comedy.
No, I did not treat it like comedy at all. I took both of those video intros seriously. And then I went to the station. I remember walking into the lobby. There were a couple of DJs sitting there on the couch going over their scripts. I sat down. One DJ came up out of the basement and was like, that wasn't very good. I could tell he was disappointed. A couple other guys went in, and then I got called down, and the nerves kind of started, when I started, when I got in front of the camera a little bit and saw, oh, okay, it kind of hit me. And so I did 2 video intros, the POD and the Creed intro, because I knew they were looking for a rock VJ. So I wanted to sort of give them what they wanted. And then something about I don't even remember what happened. It's all a blur, but something about what happened in those 2 intros, they must have liked, because they laughed a little bit during those.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know, are they laughing at me? I don't know what's happening.
Right.
So then they go, all right, now we're going to give you a video, just talk about it, come up with whatever, off the cuff kind of a thing. And it was a Shakira video. And I don't remember what I said or what I did. I just remember I got a lot of laughter on that performance. And the second I got done with that, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. This is
Yes.
the only thing I want to do. Burn this building to the ground. I don't care. I'm going to New York.
I want to
Right.
look at Shakira and talk about her for the rest of my career. See, that was back when you could talk about Shakira the way you wanted to.
Totally.
Times.
Yeah.
Well, so that's awesome. And
Wow.
and so then, did you think when you were going into MTV that you were going to be this rock VJ, or did you know going in that you were going to be replacing Carson Daly?
And I'll add, did they just in the room give it to you, or was there this waiting period then?
No, there was a waiting period. As a matter of fact, I did that first audition in the basement, and then I became obsessed with getting this job. And so I would email, which is not a great move, I come to find out, but also green. But I would email the casting director multiple times a week asking for an update on this thing.
Because you had no agent or anything. You were just.
I didn't even know what an
Not
agent
yet.
was. And I'll get to
Right.
that later because I got screwed in my first contract because I didn't know
Of
how
course.
anything worked at all.
Yeah,
Wow.
not
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah. And so,
So you're waiting to see if you got the job.
Yeah, you're
Wait.
emailing them.
we're emailing them, and she's we're pulling for you, and we really want, I really want you. I just have to wait. My boss has to see the tape, and okay, my boss likes you. There are a couple others in the running, but so she was being really great. This one, Wendy McSwain, she was the casting director. And then I remember I was so into getting this job that everything else fell by the wayside in my life. So
Yeah.
I did not sign up for classes for the next semester.
Yes,
at
you were all
Northeastern.
in,
I
all
didn't-
in.
I just forgot. I didn't care. I'm like, well, whatever. I was just,
Yeah.
MTV, I'm like, I gotta
Yeah.
get on MTV. And so
That's
the
awesome.
day that I found out that I was going to have to call my parents,
and
who
tell them
were
you're dropping out.
like, you have to go to college. Education is everything. You'll never make it in life if you don't go to college. You need to go to a good school. You need to finish college. The day that I had to call them and tell them that I would not be attending Northeastern the next semester because I forgot to sign up for classes
Yeah.
was the same day I got an email from MTV saying, we want to fly you out to New York for a callback audition in
Yes.
the studios out here.
Wow. Hold
Yes.
on.
So, yes.
Danny's
There it
got
is.
goosebumps. So did that spoonful of sugar make the medicine go down easier for your parents, or were
That
they
was
still just like,
that was a hilarious phone call, actually. It was, I called them and I said, I have good news and I have bad news for you guys. And scared to death of my parents, by the way, the entire time growing up. And so really difficult phone call for me to make.
sure?
Okay.
And so I called them and I said, I have good news and I have bad news. And they said, what's the bad news? Let's just get this over with.
Yeah,
And,
Irish.
Yeah, Irish. And I go, cancer? Is it cancer? You have cancer, don't you? It's like my mom. No, it's not cancer. Slightly worse. So I said, the bad news is I won't be going to Northeastern next semester because I forgot to sign up for classes. Damien, what are you doing? Education's the most important thing. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And so, okay, fine. And what's this good news? The good news is I got a call back in New York for MTV. They're flying me out next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't need school at all. This is amazing. You don't need school. Well, school what? Whatever. School. Boo. And
They
It's also funny
they
that,
turned
like-
like that.
oh yeah, they turned so quick. They were like, Dad'll take you to Structure. We'll get you a nice outfit. Blah blah blah.
Outfit.
You know?
I love it.
It's also
Yeah.
like we know a
Structure.
callback is nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
But,
totally.
like back then, you wouldn't know that a callback is nothing.
Yes.
Oh,
Like you
yeah.
would think like, oh, I definitely
booked
got
it.
it. I got a
this.
callback. Now you just go like, oh, I'm one of 8 people. I mean, I have a second
Yeah.
lottery ticket.
How
Right.
many people
Yeah,
were
but I
there
also-
for your callback?
There were 3. There was 3 total. So me and 2 others.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
and
hope
the
it
other-
wasn't Jesse, that homeless kid, was it?
No.
Okay, good.
It actually was Dee Snider's son was one of the.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He was very nice, but he did not get it. But yeah, so I got called out and I did the call back there in New York. And I remember going to my dad and we did go to Structure and we spent like
You did?
$200
That's
on
awesome.
a horrendous outfit.
Yeah.
That made me look like I always it was like a cranberry red leather jacket
Oh,
with big lapels and a
Oh
very
my God.
heavily patterned shirt, button
Do
down
you have a
shirt.
photo of this? You have to send it to me.
I don't have a photo, but if you could just close your eyes right now, we'll do a little
Okay.
exercise and picture 1970s Chicago cop.
yes.
Undercover cop is sort of like what it looked like. Cranberry red leather jacket. And so I remember going to New York, and I would go right up the escalator, and I meet this guy Vinny, who was in casting, and I was so nervous. By the way, I puked in the bathroom of the New Haven train
Wow.
station.
Because you were
Oh,
so nervous.
Amtrak. Yeah, I couldn't eat that morning, and my mom gave me a bunch of big vitamins. She said, just have a bunch of vitamins
On an empty stomach.
to give you energy. And the vitamins on an empty stomach made me puke in the Amtrak bathroom.
What a nightmare.
oh, that's a low point. That's
What
a
a
low point.
1980s thing to try to do. You need vitamins for energy.
Yeah, totally.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. It's so weird. It's so
Take a
anyways,
Geritol for some pep.
oh man. So anyway, so I go up the escalator, and I had just thrown up like 2 hours prior. I'm in this horrendous outfit, and and I think I look great, and I spent $200 on it. And the first thing the casting director says, all right, well, let's get you in some new clothes and get you on set.
That's so great.
It was
What
wild.
a great detail. So clearly then your callback went well.
Yeah, my callback went really well. I gotta say, like, I really had it was.
Did you
It was-
prepare? Was it the same thing where it was intros?
No,
Or...
it was not preparing. It was like reading off a teleprompter, and they really wanted like personality, like just be loose. Like they loved my Shakira intro for some reason. They're like, do more of that. Like just show off your personality. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so, I just had a really good time with it. Like once I was nervous, but once I got in front of the camera, I was like, oh, this is fun. And the casting people were so, you go into so many auditions and they're just like, name, all right, and you're reading for, all right. This was like, all right, let's do this. You were so great last time. Let's,
Very supportive,
it was very like, supportive.
Yeah.
And that was really good for me. So I did what I thought was a really good audition. And then I got another callback. I had to go back again to New York. And that was the final callback. And that was when I found out, because that callback was on the set of TRL.
God.
That's when I was like reading TRL intros. And that's when they told me, by the way,
And was it just you?
What's
for that
that?
callback? Was it just you for that callback?
It was just me and Jesse Snyder, D. Snyder's, the son of D. Snyder. Yeah. And
well, he's not going to take it from you.
he's not gonna,
He's not gonna take
yeah. And so I did that, and I auditioned, and I was on the set of TRL, in Times Square. And I remember looking out and like, seeing my parents are like waving like in the distance on one of those little islands, like in Times Square.
Yep.
And my
Incredible.
มwas like,
Oh,
have another vitamin. I could see her
yeah, right.
mouthing. You need vitamins. And so I auditioned, and then that was it. I just I got a call, I went back to Boston, and they flew me back to Boston. And then I remember being home one weekend from Northeastern back home in Long Meadow. And I remember getting a phone call on my Nokia cell phone. And it was this guy, Vinny, in casting. And he said, you didn't hear from me, just a little heads up, but you're going to want to be around in like 10 minutes by the phone. Because
I love that.
I
That's
know.
sick.
And, I'm like, wow. And he goes, the head of casting is going to be calling you, this guy Rod, and he's going to be offering you the job.
Wow.
And that
what
was
a
it.
day. What a day that must have been for you.
Let me
Wild.
ask, do they?
Wild.
Is that job like? Are you instantly kind of rich from that job, or are you?
Oh no,
making like six figures?
Oh
and
no.
living in New York?
Well,
This is
some
where
were,
the-
but not me, because I didn't know what an agent
And
was.
you didn't
I
have an
didn't.
agent,
I just,
right.
I came from part-time radio in Boston, where it was like
Yeah.
literally, these are always
New
annoying.
York's
These are always
expensive,
annoying. New York's
you know.
expensive. but I was like, I'd go to the ATM and I would pray that I have $20 in there so I can like go to Boston Market to have like a nice dinner, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Loved Boston Market, by the way.
Loved Boston Market.
Oh, huge brand.
Oh, huge brand. Owned by the Familia Corporation.
That was
Massive.
a real treat, man, when they would bring that home.
Oh, yeah. In
the
the plastic bag. Yeah. Yep.
Oh man. And then the like the humidity on the plastic from the heat of the chicken.
Yes.
The drips.
Yeah, the condensation on
the
top.
condensation.
Yes,
That's
I
what it
love
was,
that.
yeah.
I love that.
Huge.
So this is so exciting because we've heard a lot of people's stories.
Wet
on here.
food, already wet food, and much
Wet.
wetter.
Oh, give me the wet mashed potatoes. Pass them.
Wet.
But so we've heard a lot of stories of, how people got their first jobs or how they got into the business. But there's something about this that's like so much more exciting. And I can't tell because I, like so many Gen Xers, I loved MTV, worshipped MTV. And granted, by the 2000s, I was starting to get, drifting away from it a little bit. But MTV was the absolute gold standard. And I would imagine for someone doing what you're doing, like you've just become like the de facto king of like a lot of DJs who want to do this.
Well, that was part of it too. I was passed up before I auditioned for MTV. There was an opening at the station to do 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I really wanted that job.
Of course.
So badly. And I remember finding out I didn't get that job. And I remember actually Dale, my mentor at KISS, Dale, I remember him, he knew I wanted that job really bad. He called me and he said, he gave me this really nice speech about it to make me feel better. Cause I was really, upset about that. And I thought that was it, and I got angry. I got angry we had a new program director and I got angry at him. And I was like, I'm the guy. I know I can do this. And they brought in some other guy from some other station and it was like a friend or something. And,
always.
Yeah. And whatever. I mean, it was looking back. It's like, well, it wasn't my job.
You were 19.
I was 19. Like I just thought that is my job. So it's all silly looking back, but I do remember being angry. And then when this happened, I remember definitely a moment of like, I went back to I got it, and then did you party and
did you fax your butt cheeks to the program director? It was a good era for that.
Yeah, good late 90s office prank.
It is sort of like you were in regional theater and then were starring in a movie. It's very improbable that
so awesome.
Some college kid who can't even register for classes is then all of a sudden the face of MTV.
And that's how I felt. When I started there, I tell people I was so nervous. I did not know what I was doing. They said, have you interviewed people before? Or asked me if I interviewed people before. I said, oh, of course, tons. I had interviewed no one.
Yeah.
Right.
I just completely lied. And then, but I knew I lied. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm in over my head. And you just get thrown into the deep end. It was sort of like with Family Guy. It's just like, you're just thrown in a room. There's no like, this is how this works, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's just like, you're now in a room and now you're hosting a show and you got to figure it out. So for the first 6 months of the MTV job, the reality sort of set in. I finally got the thing. All the energy was focused on getting the thing. And then I finally got the thing. And then it was like, oh my God, I have this thing. I don't know if I can do this thing. And so I'd wake up every morning and I would dry heave. I'm almost every morning. I mean, I wake up with a tremendous panic attack.
I can't go toe to toe with Mark McGrath.
Right.
Who do I think I am? Walter Cronkite?
Yeah, that guy's electric. He's pure electricity.
But I was lucky I could pull any name from that era.
I was going to say Ashley Simpson, but
yeah, there you go.
Oh, Ashley. Yeah.
Well, so this is awesome. This is so exciting. And as Danny said, I got goosebumps just thinking about it. But what you talk about interviewing and you hadn't had practice and then you were thrown into it. Who were some of like the biggest stars that you had to sit down and interview where you were like, fuck, I got to talk to so and so today.
Yeah.
All of them.
Madonna for sure.
Oh God,
What'd you
really?
say, JC?
I said all of them.
all of them.
That was who came through.
No, but
TRL. They were
Madonna?
the biggest.
It's true.
You talked to Madonna?
Yeah, I remember. I've told this story before, but basically, Carson was supposed to host the show. Madonna was coming on for a new album. It was a really big show.
Which album?
She
was it? Music or which
yeah.
album was it?
No, it was after Music.
Ray of Light, or what's after Music?
No, it was after
Okay.
Ray of Light, because that was
Ray of
when
Light's
I was in New York.
90s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was after Music.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know.
Yeah,
what's
after Music. I forget what
Okay.
it was. It wasn't, a great album, but
Yeah.
it was, obviously Madonna's
Madonna.
promoting an album. Everything has to go according to plan for her,
Yeah.
according to what Madonna wants.
Yeah.
So Carson, I remember being in the morning meeting we would have in the around 10 a.m. every morning in the conference room on the 23rd floor, and we would sort of go over the show and everything. And okay, we got Carson hosting today, and Damien, you're going to be out on the street, in whatever. I've like for one segment, Carson's going to host the whole show, blah, blah, blah. And so I go home, I go back to my apartment, and I get a call around noon. The show's at 3:30, rehearsal at 1 noon, that Carson was out partying all night. He will not be in today.
Oh,
the show.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
What a day to whiff on Madonna.
I know.
Well, this was also like he had interviewed everybody, and so he was the
was
man
over.
at that
You
point.
guys were also like in the era of Derek Jeter and stuff. Like you were kind of part of that. I mean, you were a New York face that people
Yeah.
knew.
for sure.
So
So they go, you have to come in, and we want you to interview Madonna. And so I holy shit. So I go and I dry heave in the toilet real quick and I get dressed, and then I go to work, and then I go into the studio, and I remember the producer coming over to me at a certain point with note cards. Look, I just talked to Madonna. This is what's going on. She refuses to go on the air unless it's Carson. We can't even get in touch with Carson. She said she wants Kurt Loder, and Kurt Loder doesn't come down.
Mr. Electric.
Yeah. Kurt Loder doesn't come down from the 30th floor for unless it's I don't know,
Obama.
Yasser Arafat.
whoever. Yeah, right.
It's not even Obama.
Yasser Arafat. Just pictured him coming out on TRL.
Yeah. Give him a big
Ladies and
welcome.
gentlemen, Yasser Arafat. Yeah. What she goes, then she requested John Norris.
Oh
Boy,
my
she
God.
went through all of them. None of them were there to that day. And they said, look, we don't have any of those people, but we have this new guy, Damien, who is really good, and lie. And
amazing.
it's like when they're trying to dump a new doctor on you. When you
yeah, totally.
He's really good.
This new guy's really good. I want to see Dr. Hotchkiss, though.
Dr. Loader.
Yeah. And so I was told Madonna said no. I'm not going on the show if it's like some new guy. I want someone who I know. She's very particular.
Yes.
So the reason producer told me all this is she goes, you need to. We huddled in the production room, and we came up with the idea that you need to go in to Madonna's dressing room and build up rapport to sort of turn her into
charm her.
Yes, to charm her. You need to go in there and charm her with your dry heave breath and get her to agree to be on the show. Now, okay, fine. I guess, and this is very. I don't even remember most of this. I blacked out for most. This is really crazy that I have to do this.
Yes.
At this time. So I remember I go with the producer to the green room door, and the producer knocks on the door, and coming in, and we walk in, and of course the room is just filled. Madonna's on a couch by herself. There's just a ton of people, around Madonna, as you'd imagine.
Yeah.
There is one person holding a bucket of full of ice with champagne and several champagne flutes in the bucket. Madonna is sitting on the couch sipping a flute of champagne, and the producer goes, "Hey, Madonna, this is our newest VJ. His name is Damien, and blah blah blah." And so I had to go into like charm mode.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't even know what charm mode
Right.
is for me, but
Right. Or even for her. you know?
yes, or for right. So I sort of, before going in, I just thought, it's Madonna. What are my Madonna like memories or references? Okay, growing up in the house, a lot of 80s music was played, a lot of Madonna. I played her on the radio all the time. Okay, I'll kind of go off, use those as sort of launching points for conversation. So I went in and I said, "Hey, I was just really nice. I was just like really like kissing the ring kind of a thing."
Yeah, of course.
Smart.
And I said, "I just want to let you know, I've listened, my parents were huge fans of yours. So I became a huge fan, and I played your music on the radio growing up, and,
Nice.
Live to Tell is like one of my favorite songs of yours. And this
Me
and
too.
that." Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did have a top
and
five.
and I said, and now there, and she goes, "Oh, okay." She was kind of impressed, a little cold though. And I said, "Now what they want me to do is I'd like to interview you, but I want to be completely honest with you. I'm really, I'm new here. I'm really, really nervous. This is the
Aw.
most nervous I've ever been." And that
Right
turned
there.
her.
Wow.
And she
Yeah.
goes, and she went from being like cold Madonna with like viper eyes, like
Yeah.
reptile eyes,
Yeah.
to turned into a human being. And she
Wow.
goes,
Yeah.
she's drinking champagne. She goes, and she paused and she looks at me, she goes, "I get nervous too.
Oh,
That's why I drink
I love
this.
this.
Would you like a glass?" And I go,
Oh, shit.
"Yeah, of course." And so she was like, snapped her fingers or whatever, I don't, she didn't do that, but I'm adding it to the story for effect. And then I was poured a glass of champagne by Madonna's champagne person.
Wow.
And then we had a glass of champagne backstage, and then that was it. We went out and I did an interview with her, and the interview went great. And she was kind of like flirty. And then I interviewed her
Perfect.
again, like a year after.
Was she asking for you? Was
what's
she like,
that?
"I want that Damien guy. I want that Damien guy to interview
Yeah,
me"?
yeah.
Wow.
Because the next time I interviewed her, she was like,
Oh,
I
your
don't know.
your old pal Madonna.
Yeah, there was like something that like we kind of had
There was a little
thing.
chemistry.
there was a little chemistry because I was sarcastic a little bit, and she
Right.
liked that. But
Yeah.
and so she was also sarcastic. So it was a nice little thing. And so I interviewed her, I think in
Incredible.
total like 3 times, and
Wow.
it was
That
it
is
was really
so
nice.
well. She is. I mean, we've talked about her on the podcast before. She's, she's female Elvis. It's,
Yes.
there's nobody ever
Nobody.
in the pop, in the female side of the pop industry who was that big.
Yeah,
And
that's
she's
true.
one, top 3 of
Taylor
any gender.
Swift.
I guess.
Current, yes.
I'm still
Bigger.
not sold. I don't know much of her music, so I'm a little ignorant to
Yeah.
that. But
I,
yeah.
I like Madonna's
Music
I mean, that's
there.
Taylor's it's not for me.
Us.
That
Yeah.
No,
But
no,
I do
I'm
like a
saying
couple
she's
of her
more
songs.
famous than Madonna ever was, for
Oh.
sure.
All right.
Indisputably.
Maybe. I
Let's
don't
just
know.
let's just pump the brakes a little bit there.
That could be its
Yeah.
own episode.
I
the
know that.
debate
Yeah,
of
we
that.
could debate the Swift versus Madonna. I think
Yeah.
that's a good. That's sort of the LeBron Jordan
Yeah.
debate all over again, and with the same result. Madonna #1.
Yeah.
Hey, 72 and Sunny.
So beautiful out there. Anderson decks now on sale at Heathmore Hardware.
I love that. That's a real place, I can tell. So that's I could talk to you. We could talk to you for another hour about the people you interviewed on TRL.
I mean, is Fred Durst nice?
No,
All right.
no, he
No,
was
he's
actually
not.
not nice.
I
everyone.
Shocker.
I always say, people say, what were they like? And I go, it's like anything. It's like music. It's like art. It's like people at your office. You've got 3 really nice people. You've got 10 people who are like, fine. And then you've got like 2 assholes.
Yeah.
It's like everything. It's like there are 3 good songs on the radio. There are 10, and then there's like 2 like songs where you're like, wow, what the fuck?
That's
Yeah.
a great way of looking at that.
It-
I, wa-
it's-
I Yeah.
But he was, and he came on, and I just remember him saying backstage after being interviewed, he was like, man, this place was so much cooler when Carson was here. And by
What
the
a
way,
prick. Wow.
that's insulting. But also,
Yeah.
when I got the job, I was so confused because every audition they were like, yeah, be more of yourself. And then I got the job, and it was like, now be like Carson. Be more like Carson. Be more like Carson.
Be
And
more
so
Have
boring.
no definable characteristics at all.
it was like, tone it down.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
show's not
Be
you. You're
boring.
just the vessel to. And I'm like, okay, so I'll just
Hide
Stop,
it.
soften up your features. Don't be as angular.
right.
That's what a roller coaster ride that must have been.
Well,
for
I do
several
want to
years.
ask you, because you were famous, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yes.
Did you
so what was
feel
that
like it?
like to be young and famous in New York?
It was
in New York.
awesome, and it was also like it was amazing. Like in New York, this was like
I mean, you walk into
if-
Boston Market and they're just like
They're
sweet
throwing wet
potato
potatoes
squash.
out.
They've
oh,
got
man, are you kidding me?
You
There's
can't forget about
Throwing
it.
Yeah,
wet
forget about
dish
it.
after wet dish.
yes.
But I mean, were you going out to clubs and that sort
Yes.
of thing?
Yes, it was like the
So
first
crazy.
day, it's like, hey, we're at club we're at Butter tonight, and
Butter,
like
yeah.
yeah,
We were
yeah.
totally there at the same time, like that,
That's-
because I
we-
worked in Times Square those same years.
We must have been in the same room together at some
Yeah,
point.
we
JC,
definitely
I
were
swear.
at the same I think we talked about this. Wherever the MTV cafeterias were, I think we probably would have been eating there at the same time.
Oh, the
'cause-
seventh floor. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, they had a cafeteria on the
God, you
seventh
guys
floor.
had such a different experience. Me and Goldie handing out flyers sadly across in front of Planet Hollywood.
Oh, man.
TKTS booth.
Oh, yeah.
God,
We know,
just
I mean-
awful.
Yeah.
So that's incredibly exciting. I mean, what a glorious, weird era that was.
It was a weird
Michael
time.
Jackson. Did you meet him?
No, I wish. I remember
yeah.
when he
So does he.
I remember when he came on TRL. That was Carson. That was a
Okay.
whole thing. But that was actually at the Virgin Megastore, I think, the interview with
Wow.
with Michael.
Ironically.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right. Anyway, so
Yeah. But the Goldie, that's such a typical you thing. He's just finished talking about Madonna, and he's like, "Oh, so I went to Yale. Oh, did you go to Harvard? No. I
Yeah,
didn't."
totally,
It's like, let him have Madonna. Okay, so maybe not. Michael
Goldie
Jackson.
also left. You won't know this because this is a podcast, but he also left for like 5 minutes during this interview.
He's making soup.
No. My dog was furiously pounding on the door to be let out, and it's just like he's not going to stop till I do
Right.
it.
Oh,
So-
okay.
No, you're a good
No, it's
dog.
all good.
Okay, if
It's
it has
over.
to do with the dog, I think
Hey, by the
David's
way,
okay with it.
okay, go ahead. Yes.
Go ahead,
No, no.
Damien. What? By the way, what?
Well, by the way, not to jump ahead here, but one of the reasons that I'm even talking to you guys, or that I even have, I think, the Family Guy job, is because one day at TRL, I became a writer on TRL, and I would hang out in the writer's room, and I was just hanging out so much. They were like, "You want to be a writer on the show and pitch some ideas and stuff?" And so I said, "Sure." And so I met this writer there named Joel Solomon, and we became really good friends. And we bonded over our love of the Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn. We just loved that show,
Oh.
and we became obsessed with the show. We became obsessed with Craig, and we became obsessed with Goldie and Gibby, who'd come in.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so one day before TRL rehearsal, I was bored with Joel, and Joel goes, "Hey, should we just try calling Goldie? Just try calling CBS and see if they'll put us through to Goldie." And I'm like,
What?
"Yeah, sure." And so that's literally what happened. I remember calling before TRL with Joel, calling CBS and saying, "Late Late Show, please." And then, "I'd like to speak to Goldie." And then literally ring, ring. And then, "Hello."
Do you remember this,
Goldie,
Goldie?
do you remember this?
Yes, I remember very specifically because at the time, Punk'd was a big thing.
Oh,
the
yes.
prank show.
Right.
And I was like, I think these fucking guys are like, oh, this guy's on TV, so he's so full of himself, he's going to think he has actual fans, and we're going to call and
Oh,
tell him
no.
we work for TRL, and we think he's awesome and cool. So I was just like, I was just thought I was being pranked,
Punked?
and that the whole thing was to like go, oh, and he actually believed that we liked him. What a
Of course.
fucking loser! Like, it took like 20 minutes of them kind of specifically complimenting things where I was like, okay, I think these guys are actual fans.
Yeah,
My first thought was that they were only wanted to make me I mean, this just goes to my upbringing and like all the shit.
No,
that
but we
happened to
were
me in
also
school
like
and
so fanboying, you know. Really,
no, you were being so nice.
that
Like,
thing you said
crazily
about
nice.
your take on Manila envelopes was hilarious, man. You just like I never thought, you know, it's whatever. It's just like
That's-
going on and on.
What
I
an
love
amazing
that.
connection. And that's even a little more interesting and specific than I was going to bring up, because you have another connection to the Goldie and My Hub at the Late Late Show, where when Craig Kilborn left, you were seriously in the running to take that show over. And
Yeah.
will you tell that story, because it's
Oh,
so
man.
interesting and such a Hollywood, an example of the way Hollywood works.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Joel and I actually got on Craig's show because Craig had he used to introduce himself. Tonight on the show, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
He'd say,
genius.
ladies and gentlemen, Craig Kilborn. And I always thought that was the funniest thing, that he's introducing himself. So
Yeah.
then he got out of nowhere, ladies and gentlemen, Craig Kill. It was like an announcer they hired. Craig
Yeah.
wasn't
Richard
doing it.
Malmos.
Oh, wow.
That's who it was.
Yes.
Cool.
So Joel and I were like, what the fuck? We were like,
Yeah.
literally like, that's the best what's one of the best parts of the show?
Right.
They got rid of it. And so what we did is Joel and I came up with the idea of signing a petition. So we passed a petition around the MTV offices to get the old voice guy back. We didn't say Craig. We like the old voice guy. And we actually got, and I have a photo of her signing it, because Britney Spears was on the show that day. We have
Wow.
a photo of Britney
Wow.
Spears signing the Craig Kilborn should voice his
His own intro.
intro again. Her signing the contract, and it was like, hey, will you sign this? She was like, what is this? And it was like, it's just a little fun little thing. Oh, okay. Father's like, yeah, she's
Sweet.
not allowed to sign anything.
Nice. But so then how does that turn into you are in the running when Craig is stepping down?
So after that, Craig got wind of the petition, brought us on the show. We came on the show. Joel and I both did. There was a segment where we both like pretended to be Craig Kilborn introducing, you know, the show, and that was fun and everything. And then Craig left. At the show, when I appeared there, I think that was the first time I met Goldie, and then I also met Mike Gibbons and became friendly with Gibbons. And when the show ended, I remember Goldie saying, "I'm going to talk to Gibbons." I think I might be misremembering.
Probably
this, but it's like-
Yasui. Probably Todd Yasui.
yeah. Gibbons and I are going to talk to Yasui and about you coming in. Would you like to host a night? Because at that point they had like 50 people, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
David
like rotating
Duchovny.
in.
Yeah. And Drew Carey and David Duchovny and
Michael Ian Black.
Liam Black.
Yeah.
And all these
Saget.
people. Yeah. Saget came in and
Saget.
did it.
Susan Sarandon.
Bob Saget. And so I said, oh my God, yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you. And so all I remember is after this, I just remember walking at home after TRL, and it was like 5 o'clock at night. And on my phone, I had missed a call from Gibbons, and I was listening to the voicemail, and he goes, "Hey dude, it's Gibbons. Hey, look, I just sold you so fucking hard to a 90-year-old man. You're going to be hosting the show on
Peter
November."
Lasalle?
Yeah, Peter Lasalle. I just got done. Yeah. And so,
That's a good Gibbons, by the way.
yeah, always kind of yelling, but like not.
Hey.
Yeah. So I was psyched, you know, and that was
Yeah.
sort of how it cemented my first
The-
night.
So your first night, and that clearly goes well, because when they're finalizing who's going to replace Craig Kilborn permanently, you
Yes.
are in the running there with basically like 3 people.
Wow.
Yeah, shocked. It was me, Michael Ian Black,
Dee
Craig
Snyder's son.
Ferguson, and D.L. Hughley, I think.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember going out. We each got a week. You know, they wanted to see us do our thing for a week, and we could
Mhm.
bring in bits and whatnot. And so I remember coming up with bits, and I had this bit that I pitched that I wanted to do, which was called "Are They Elderly?" based on their shoes. And so we went to
That's funny.
we went to the farmers market at the Grove, and we
Yeah.
just did B-roll of people's shoes. and then we would have audience members guess if they're elderly or not based on the shoe, and then they guess, and then we hit, and then it would pan up, and you'd see elderly.
That's good.
So anyway, so I had heard that when I did that week, I had heard that the way it went down from my manager who knew Rob Burnett, who ran Worldwide Pants. I never knew if he was lying to me, but it was confirmed through a Peter LaSalle YouTube clip that Alec, you actually sent me. But it was David Letterman really liked that shoe bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is so awesome because Letterman is, I mean, he's the Madonna of late night television.
Yes.
You know, not the Taylor Swift, the Madonna.
No. Yeah. I mean, he is like
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, so because this is
no, go on, because I might be able to add to this.
Yeah,
okay,
I
good.
might be able to add to this.
So let me just so this is what I heard. And so my manager, you know, obviously I didn't get it. Okay. I did the week and it wasn't as good as the first night because then the first night was like, whatever, I'm not going to get this. So I just went in to just have fun. Then I was nervous during like the week shows and I didn't do as good of a job as the first night, whatever. Week shows end. I get a call from my manager saying, you know, you didn't get the gig, but David Letterman in a meeting, he was supposed to watch 4 tapes. He only watched 2, yours and Ferguson's. And he watched yours. He saw the shoe bit and he took the tape out and he said, give it to the kid.
Yes.
Was what I heard was the line.
Wow.
And I always wanted to believe that, you know, that feels
I
good
believe it.
to know that
Yeah.
could have happened, you know, but there's always a part of me that was like, that sounds, it almost sounds too good to be true.
I'm going to get into the weeds here on this. So like, this is interesting to like 6 people and you're one of them. So Peter LaSalle was one of the executive producers of Johnny Carson. And then he got brought on board to Letterman. And then I think Dave kind of put him out to the West Coast and made a marriage with Kilborn. At Kilborn, he was not someone we talked to very much on the show, but he had an office and he was sort of a prominent person.
Right.
But he, you know, like a lot of people in show business knew there's sort of value in having an office and hanging on.
Yeah.
And when Ferguson came in and the 4 of you came through, Ferguson was in his office every day for hours.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Picking his brain, knowing that like maybe this guy, you know, with the weight of the Tonight Show resume could go back to Letterman and up the food chain to Les Moonves at the time and sort of advocate for the only person who was sitting with this, quote, 90-year-old man and treating them as relevant.
Yeah.
And so that was like a very shrewd show business move that wound up working. And then, you know, when Ferguson got on, he then said like, you know, I've hired this emeritus late night regal genius, Peter LaSalle, to, you know, shepherd me through this process. And then he elevated him again. So it's just one of those things of like, you know, the Bud Schulberg book, What Makes Sammy Run, right?
Yeah.
It's just about the sort of compulsive nature of hanging on in show business. And then when you see like a crack in a doorway, kicking it open. And so it very well may be that you were Letterman's choice, but it also was like,
it didn't matter.
To the same degree, he might not have wanted to talk to Peter LaSalle, and it's like if LaSalle's like, I want Ferguson, it's like, whatever, I don't go to the West Coast, I'm never in LA, I don't have to deal with the show. This is like not even worth a phone call to me who's on after me, which I think was kind of his attitude about the Late Late Show.
That is exactly what happened because in that clip that Alex sent me of Peter LaSalle, it was an interview for like the national, you know, television radio archives or whatever. That is what he says is basically that Dave, you know, liked the MTV kid or whatever it was, who was really, he didn't really have the gravitas.
He was no Arthur Godfrey, which is to say, it's a conversation.
You got it in there.
He literally, He literally was like,
Craig could do a character, a gay decorator who comes on to do the set. Not that, but something like that.
yeah,
It was
just
an actual conversation I had.
ancient man.
Yes.
But he
on his
that,
desk was when you would used to walk into banks in the 1970s, they would have a wood puzzle that was triangles as a triangle with wood pegs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And while your mom and dad dealt with their horrible mortgage situation, you would sit with this stupid wooden triangle, and it wasn't clear what you're supposed to do with it, and no one
Right.
knew the rules. He had one of those.
Yeah.
Of course
I
he
just
did.
remember Gibby being like, you need to go in there. Ferguson's been in there every day last week.
Yep.
You need to go in
Oh.
there and you need to schmooze. And I just remember walking into the room, and literally my first thought was, this feels like a funeral parlor. Like it smells in the lighting, in the carpet, the pile
Yeah.
thickness of the carpet is
Well, I see
like
that.
there's a wake in here.
This is why I'm so glad, and you know, you've been so generous with your time. Like we've really got a lot here, which was so interesting. But I wanted to hear that story again because
Yeah.
Goldie's right when he brings up the Bud Schulberg "What Makes Sammy Run" book, because this is such a Hollywood story where someone like David Letterman, who is clearly the expert, right? He's the greatest maybe late night host of all time.
Yeah.
He picks you because he thinks something you did was funny, and he
Yes.
did not respond to the other person. So that should be it. Just like
Right.
when Johnny wanted to replace himself with Dave Letterman, and then we ended up getting Jay Leno. Because why? Because of so much action behind the scenes and
Right.
network
Yeah.
executives and all that. So
Yeah.
this is, again, as Goldie pointed out, exactly what happened here, where you should have had that job. And my guess is you'd still be doing it because you look like you're about, 32 now. So I think you could still be doing that job. And it's just a weird screw job by, as Goldie said, some guy just clawing to relevance who saw
Yeah.
the little opening,
Yeah.
took it, and you were sort of the victim of that.
And the other guy who saw this guy and said, I could use this guy. Like it's like an organism, like the
Right.
hippo and the
Mm.
bird that cleans its teeth. It's like
Yeah,
the two of us,
symbiotic.
we're going to,
Yes.
this unholy alliance. And I mean, that's
Oh.
just, now I'm of the age where I have to start thinking about doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Who has some youth? It's like that Silicon
Vampire.
Valley billionaire who gets the blood of the young person. Like, who can I cling to?
I will say, oh,
Yeah,
good.
go ahead, Damien. Sorry.
I will
Who
say
can I
that
be
was
a parasite to?
that for me was like the greatest week of my career. Like that was just
Oh,
so
wow.
much fun. I mean, it was
Yeah.
doing
That's so
the
cool.
job that I sort of always wanted to do, doing something I always wanted to do, which was comedy, and then getting to work with like comedy heroes,
Yeah.
like Goldie and Gibbons and Craig and all of them.
That's
It was
cool.
just it was like a dream,
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, sadly that didn't work out the way you wanted at the time, but on the plus side for us is, the Plinko chips fell and you ended up with us at Family Guy, and you've been doing
Yeah.
such a great job there.
Like
You're
all
so
of us,
funny.
you've achieved a decent compromise and you work at Family Guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're thrilled that you're there, and we were thrilled that you've been here today. So thank you for talking to us. And now
guys.
you're going to be joining us for a part of the show that we like to call Top 5. Top 5. Oh, there it is. That's us singing, Damien. Don't do that. All right. So this was my category this week. So I'll get us started off. It's top 5 movie character names. And Goldie, I'm going to be angry with you if you don't have a couple of these, but top 5 movie character names. Number 5 for me, little obvious, but I'm going Rocky Balboa.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
think like, we take the name Rocky Balboa for granted now, but it was at the
Yes.
time, Rocky, great name. Number 4, Hannibal Lecter. Just
Great.
a great name.
Yes.
Fantastic. Number 3, here's a movie you might not remember so well. Loved this name. Marion Cobretti from the
Okay.
Sylvester Stallone movie Cobra
Oh.
from 1985. His character name was Detective Marion Cobretti.
Wow.
I
Okay.
good.
always love that one. Number 2, Eddie Barzoon.
Oh,
That's great.
Eddie Barzoon from Devil's Advocate. I'll let Goldie talk more about that because I feel like it might be on there. And number 1 for me, you've heard me say this name on the podcast before. I love this name so much, and I loved this movie. Lightning McQueen
Yes.
from Cars. Lightning McQueen. There's my list.
Nice. Very
I'm
nice.
sticking to it. Damien, why don't you take next up?
Sure. A name I love and a movie I love, and my favorite actor, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Sandy Lyle. Along Came
Ooh.
Polly.
yeah.
Sounds like a golfer.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
good.
he is Sandy Lyle in that movie. I don't know. Also, another great name I loved, Les Grossman,
Nice.
Yeah, Tropic
Yeah.
Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
Wow.
awesome.
Moving on to John Candy, Harry Crumb.
Yes.
that's really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've watched that many's the time.
Love that. And then, of course, my favorite movie of all time, Big Trouble in Little China, Jack Burton.
Yeah,
Ooh,
all right, there you go.
nice.
Very solid. You give solid names. You like them.
Yeah, that's a nice solid name. And then my favorite name from any movie, Dignan from Bottle Rocket.
Ooh, that is a
Yeah.
very
Just
good.
dig
one.
Great
in.
movie.
Yeah.
So fun. Great list.
Great
JC, what do
list.
you got?
Okay. My number 5 is Kaiser Soze from
Oh,
Usual Suspects.
Good one.
Number 4, Dirk Diggler. From,
Yeah,
was that his
okay.
name? Number 3, Axel Foley.
Yes.
little Eddie
Love
Murphy.
it.
This is a really good list.
Number 2, Marty McFly.
Ooh, you like the alliteration.
Yes.
Yeah.
And number 1, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's a good one. Chalk. Those are good. Goldie, what do you got?
All right, number 5, Radio Raheem.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Love that.
Number 4, I have a tie. I almost never do this, but I had 2 things that I wanted to do.
Sure.
So it's a tie between Pulp Fiction, The Gimp,
Yes.
and Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
go.
Number 3, Johnny Utah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Nice.
Jonathan, Utah.
Number 2, from the Woody Allen movie Bananas, Fielding Mellish.
Yes. Such a perfect Woody
Oh,
Allen
what a weird
name.
And number 1, Eddie Barzoon! Eddie
Wow.
Barzoon!
Wait, Goldie, can I point something out here?
Yeah.
I am disappointed there's one name that's not on your list. And I will
Flap?
say this because, well, no. I will say this because this is a name that you used to bark back at me for like 18 months.
Okay.
Okay. Chev Chelios.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
What's that
Jason
from?
Statham movie,
It's a
right?
Jason Statham movie. His name's Chev Chelios.
And you
Jesus.
kept bringing it up for like from all of 2006 was you repeating that name.
Just stupid. No one's named Chev.
All right. Well, that's a great list, Goldie. What do we have top 5 next week?
So this is, more of a curiosity to get ideas for myself, but the top 5 go-to dinners in your house.
Oh,
no.
I love
Okay.
that. Who doesn't like to think about delicious
No, because then we
food?
learn, like, maybe you have something, and I go, I never thought of that. for
Yeah.
dinner."
Oh, wow.
That's a
I love
great
it.
one.
I
love it.
Incorporate, because I'm always looking for a new dinner.
Can I tell you something? I love
It's
it.
going to be so boring.
Mine that
will
was
be
great.
mine.
That
Yeah.
was great. All right. Oh, that was fun. Thank you, Damien, for joining us for top 5s. Always fun. We love Damien. Such a nice guy. But now
Yes.
let's end the show as we do every week on a high note. Oh, thank you, Tom and Max. We love you, Tom. We're looking for you, Tommy. We want you back on here.
Yeah.
All right, my high note this week is a little petty and complicated. Petty is the key word today, apparently.
Yes.
My high note is Bill Belichick, and I'll tell you why. This is a story I guess I missed the first time around, but I'm now becoming aware of. In this year's draft, so this was in May. In this year's draft, the Patriots had the 14th pick, but they didn't have anyone targeted around that area. So they were looking to trade down to pick up a couple picks in the future, trade a few spots down. It happens all the time in the draft. So they had a few offers of teams that wanted to jump up a few spots and trade with them. The Patriots took a worse offer from the Pittsburgh Steelers because they knew that Pittsburgh in the 14th spot was going to draft the player that the New York Jets wanted in the 15th
Wow.
spot.
That is very
And
petty.
so that's already great. What happened? The Steelers drafted an offensive lineman that the Jets wanted. The Jets did not get that offensive lineman. So on opening night, the Jets were starting an offensive lineman who they didn't really want. And this offensive lineman was responsible for giving up the sack that injured Aaron Rodgers for the whole season.
Whoa.
So in a way, Bill Belichick engineered
Oh my
the
God.
destruction of the Jets
Wow.
yet again. And
Wow.
that's, you know what?
That
That's
is
my
very
very petty high note this week.
Wow. 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 Wow.
My very petty high note is the building that wouldn't let you in.
I knew it.
No.
knew it.
I'm kidding. My high note is the strike being over, which, is good news for us, but I think it's even better news for just the community of Hollywood who really bore the brunt of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't take that lightly, how hard it's been for the crew and craft services, like restaurants and all the people who really support writers and support these shows who took it on the chin. So I'm happy that they are back and open for business.
Yes.
Well said. Well
Yes.
said.
I am going to join you on that high note.
Oh, with Belichick?
I
No, the
do like
building.
your petty
Oh,
note.
building.
The building. Fuck you. God damn it.
No, I mean, I am personally not ready to get back into the intensity of the way the production I work on, that's not Family Guy, runs, but I am grateful that I don't have to see my end date and not get paid for however long that would have been. I was very fortunate to be employed this entire time, but I'm grateful for...
Lucky you.
I know, very lucky. But yeah, so that's my high note on that. And yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, great high notes. Great episode today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you two for being awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Damien Fahey for being here. He was
he's the
just
best.
terrific and always
great.
just so handsome. And we will talk to all of you again next week.
You're going to be dead in that building next week.
Shut up.
Disgusting display.
That was fun.
And it stops right now.